afternoon. I'll now call to order our meeting today for the Allegheny County Board of Education, Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 5:01 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time, Mr. Llewellyn will read closed session summaries for executive sessions held on February 10th.
The Allegheny County Board of Education met in closed session on February 2010, 2026 at 3 p.m. here at the central office. All 5 board members were present and the vote to go into executive session was unanimous. The topics discussed were appeal to the board, update on employee arbitration, and negotiations with bargaining units.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Llewellyn. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda this evening?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Green,
Second.
second by Dr. Bond. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We have several things to recognize this evening and several proclamations. First up is recognizing March as Women's History Month, and if Dr. Sarah Walsh could come forward, and Mrs. Widmeyer has that presentation.
Okay. Whereas March 2026 has been designated Women's History Month, the Board of Education of Allegheny County is honored to celebrate the impact and progress of women and girls. And throughout the American history, women and girls have made vital contributions. They hold a wide variety of jobs, making it the top of business, technology, and science fields. And I'd like to add that this morning I was honored to be part of the Art, Science, Social Studies, I know I'm missing one, Honor Society, Spanish, thank you, Honor Society inductions at Fort Hill this morning. And I came away thinking, these girls are so confident and so poised that when I was that age, I would never have been that way. But everyone that came up to get their certificates or their awards were just so poised, and the way they walked, their confidence, it was impressive. But having said that, I'd like to offer congratulations to everybody that got award today. But I was impressed with the girls. So on behalf of the board, we're going to present you with Women's History Month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. So good evening, Dr. Martirano, President Bender, and members of the board. Thank you for this proclamation recognizing Women's History Month. I'm honored to accept it on behalf of the many women, past and present, who have shaped public education. From pioneers like Catherine Beecher and Emma Willard, who expanded opportunities for girls and professionalized teaching, to leaders like Mary McLeod Bethune, who believed deeply in education as a path to freedom. Women have long been at the heart of our schools. They built classrooms, trained teachers, and opened doors that had long been closed. Tonight's proclamation reminds us that public education has always been strengthened by the leadership, vision, and persistence of women. May we continue the work ensuring every student has the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Welsh. If Mr. Avey would come in, please. We have 2 proclamations for Mr. Avey this evening. One recognizing March as Youth Art Month. Mr. Green will present that, and then if you just want to stay put, you know the routine by now. Then Dr. Bond will present the one for music in our.
Thank you very much, President Bender. Tonight, the Board of Education is proud to recognize March 2026 as Youth Art Month, a national celebration led by the National Art Education Association and centered this year on the theme of The World Needs Art. Art plays a vital role in our schools. It helps students develop creativity, problem-solving skills, and the ability to see the world from a different perspective. Through art, students connect what they learn across subjects while also exploring culture, expression, and imagination. We are grateful for the dedication of our educators who help bring these opportunities to life for our students every day, and we are very lucky to have very many talented artists here in our school system. Mr. Avey, thank you very much for your leadership and commitment, as well as your staff. And with that, it's my pleasure to present this proclamation recognizing this month's National Art Month. Thank you very much, Mr. Avey.
It's an honor to celebrate the visual arts every year in March, and to keep looking for new pathways for our art students and new events that can help our students excel. We just in the last couple of years have started a high school art show, and it's going to launch 2 weeks from today at the LaVale Library. A smaller show, and then at the end of April we have our big elementary, middle, and high school art show at City Place in Frostburg, and we're working and planning and scheming. It's going to overlap the Frostburg Arts Walk, which is very exciting. It's the first time we've been able to achieve that. And along that line, our events are becoming so much more public that stakeholders all over the area are looking to our art students to do things like designing T-shirts. I have students that are entering countywide that are entering billboard contests, T-shirt design contests, all for things within the community that are being offered up to our students. And I can remember a time when those things didn't used to happen. So I'm appreciative of the uptick of our art students in the community and all of the support that the board gives us every year. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This month has also been dedicated and designated as Music in Our School Month by the National Association for Music Education. So the study of music, as we know, not only helps students with all kinds of their creativity, their talent, but also helps develop skills like math and things like that. So music education helps our students acquire skills not only in the production and performance of music, but it gives them an understanding of history and culture as well. So we as the board of Allegany County endorse the observance of the month as an opportunity to support the purposes and practices of music education. We certainly want to encourage our teachers, our parents and students, and all citizens to participate and enjoy the great productions and things that our students are taking on every year. So with that said, the board presents this to you, Mr. Avey, with our appreciation for you and your staff's work and effort in bringing music to our students.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We closed up our countywide honors festivals just last week with our 5th and 6th grade honor band, immediately followed the next night by all county orchestra. We're moving very quickly into our adjudicated festivals. Our first one is at Peeler Recital Hall at Frostburg State in just 2 days. It's our choral festival. 2 weeks after that is band. 2 weeks after that is orchestra. And there's so many wonderful theatrical productions that are happening. I know that's not specifically music related, but rather theater. But there are a lot of wonderfully planned spring concerts, a jazz event at Potomac State University that will involve all of our jazz bands. It feels as though the school year in terms of the performing arts is just beginning, even though we've accomplished a great deal so far with a lot of countywide music events. Again, wouldn't be possible without all of the support that we receive at so many levels within our school system. And I can tell you, as a steward for music programs all over the state, as someone who gets called away to do some clinic work and some adjudicating in other school systems, I can tell you that our students are second to none. And when I do some quid pro quo and invite some of those people to come up and work with us, the feedback that I get from them about how wonderful our students are to work with, how hardworking they are, how receptive to good teaching and good mentorship they are, it's just a sign of optimism for where our performing arts can go in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avey. Always a pleasure to have you. You're always happy to be here. We appreciate that.
Likewise, pleasure to be here.
Okay, next we'll be recognizing our new National Board Certified teachers. If we can have Mr. DeVore come forward. And Mrs. Lepley has, I believe, a certificate for each one. I'm not sure how you had it planned, but don't forget the certificates.
I understand that feeling, yes. Superintendent Martirano, President Bender, members of the board, I'm honored to be with you today as we proudly recognize and celebrate our National Board Certified teachers, educators who have achieved one of the most rigorous and respected certifications in the profession. National Board Certification is more than a credential. It represents a deep commitment to reflective practice, continuous growth, and excellence in teaching. The process requires educators to analyze their instruction, demonstrate impact on student learning, and hold themselves to the highest professional standards. It is a testament to their dedication, not only to their craft, but to every student they serve. I'm proud to share that Allegany County Public Schools is home to 62 National Board Certified teachers, and of those, 17 achieved certification this past December. Even more inspiring, 65 additional educators are currently working toward National Board Certification, reflecting strong and growing culture of professional excellence across our district. Also, a collective commitment to high-quality teaching and learning. Our National Board Certified teachers model what it means to be lifelong learners. They lead with purpose, inspire their colleagues, and elevate their learning experience in the classroom and across the district. Their work strengthens our schools and advances our mission of providing every student access to the highest quality instruction. At this time, when you hear your name, please come up, receive your certificate of recognition, and then if it's too difficult to get back to your seat, you can just stand there by your aisle, and we're going to get a picture before we leave. First was Carissa Brandenburg, who could not make it this evening. Catherine Brown. Molly Kavanaugh. Aaron Cowan could not make it this evening. Catherine Nippenberg. Yeah, Catherine. That's probably my fault. I'm sorry. We're good. Okay. April Muir couldn't make it this evening. Tiffany Litton couldn't make it this evening. Jared Morgan. There we go. Samantha Nolan. Michelle Seville. We'll get him. Holly Shoppert couldn't make it this evening. Melissa Cindy. That's it. Marianne Snyder couldn't make it this evening. Lauren Spangler. Melanie Stavanis. Rachel Weinbrenner. And Abigail Wolodkin could not make it this evening. We are grateful for the passion, expertise, and leadership these teachers bring to our community each day. So join me one more time in thanking and congratulating our National Board Certified teachers for this outstanding achievement. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments before we head out for?
Okay, I was going to ask, do you want them up here for the picture, or were you told to
We'll
in
go
the
out to the
hallway?
main staircase if that's okay, or whatever you prefer.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, next on the agenda, we have a finance update. If we can have Mr. McKenzie and Mr. Ostrowski come forward. We have an update for the audit, and then Mr. McKenzie, you can go into your budget presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, as you mentioned, tonight we're going to be getting our audit update. Mr. Ostrowski from UHY, our auditors, is here to provide insight into our audit results. So I'll turn the floor over to him.
All right, thank you, Mr. McKenzie, Madam President, members of the board. My name is Jason Ostrowski. I'm Managing Director with UHY, here to present the June 30, 2025 financial statement audit results. So currently we're in draft. We're expecting to wrap up the audit by the end of this week, but these results, don't expect any changes to those. We're just going through final review and have the representation letter to kind of wrap everything up. There's 3 documents in the package that we're providing. The first is the financial statements. Included in there is our audit opinion, which I'd like to highlight the headline first is our opinion on the financial statements. That's our primary deliverable. And happy to report we're expecting to issue an unmodified, clean opinion on the fiscal year 2025 financial statements, and that they're presented fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Also included in that audit report is an emphasis of matter related to a new accounting standard that was implemented this year. It's GASB 101, related to compensated absences. No real significant changes in the financial statement. It's the first time I've been interrupted by a dog in a board meeting before. So no major changes to the financial statements. Already we're reporting compensated absences, but highlighting that as a new accounting standard that was considered in the financial statement preparation this year. Also, in the emphasis of matter, there were 2 prior period adjustments this year that impacted the beginning net position. The first one was related to a cutoff of grants receivable and grants revenue. And the second was essentially removing compensated absences from the fund financial statements. So in the prior year, they were included in the fund financial statements where only short-term liabilities are included there. And so they're still reported in the government-wide. They were correctly reported in the government-wide, but removed them from the fund financial statements this year. So that's also highlighted in the audit opinion. But as I mentioned, overall, clean, unmodified opinion on those financial statements. The second report included in there is the report on internal controls over financial reporting, compliance, and other matters. This is a required report. We complete our audit under government auditing standards. This is a required report issued in any audit performed under government auditing standards. And included in there would be any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we identify related to that prior period adjustment. We did have 1 material weakness that we identified during the financial statement audit this year. And again, that was related to the cutoff of those grants, as well as reporting those compensated absences in the fund financial statements. And really the related recommendation there is just enhanced reviews and really that year-end process, as well as a recommendation to take a look at considering a pre-audit consultant, essentially somebody to come in to really help out during that stress time period on the finance staff when financial statement close, all of the required GASB reporting that's kind of outside of the day-to-day activities. And that's the only thing to report in that report on internal controls or financial reporting. And then the third deliverable is going to be our governance communication letter. That essentially goes through all of the required communications under audit standards. The first point in that communication, we already talked about GASB 101. There was one additional one that, again, another accounting standard implementation that really did not have a significant impact related to GASB 102, and that was related to risk disclosures and essentially any concentrations or any constraints that are reported. So essentially, a constraint, an example of that would be any like a loss of a major revenue source that would really impact the financial operations And so, again, no changes related to that accounting standard implementation or really GASB 101. So really kind of minor standards, but were considered in the process this year, but no impact on the financial reporting this year. And then the second piece in that communication is related to any significant accounting estimates that are reported in the financial statements. And we had 4 primary significant estimates this year. Depreciation expense, estimates related to the self-insured health plan, and really the incurred but not reported liabilities. So any liabilities at the end of the year that haven't been reported but were incurred. And so that really requires an actuarial estimate based on previous experience to calculate that, as well as the 2 retiree liabilities related to the other post-employment benefit liabilities and the net pension liabilities. So we reviewed those estimates as part of the financial statement audit and found them to be reasonably stated in relation to the financial statements as a whole. And then we talk about audit difficulties. So no audit difficulties. It was a pleasure working with the team at ACPS. It was our first year performing the financial statement audit, which is always in and of itself a challenge. So really appreciate everybody working with us. And the first year is a lot of get to know you. So we spent a lot of time working with management, understanding processes, documenting processes. All of the requests are new to us and some are new to management. So appreciate that transition. And it was really a pleasure working with Mr. McKenzie and the entire team at ACPS. So certainly happy to report that. We did have a couple, which we'd already discussed, audit adjustments related to those prior period. Those are included in a schedule at the back of that governance communication. And then, again, no disagreements with management, and there were no other accountants consulted during the audit process this year. And so that's really the key highlights in that governance letter, and that concludes my report on the financial statement audit, but certainly happy to answer any questions the board may have related to those results or the financial statements in general.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Mr. McKenzie. I'm sorry, Dr. Moreno.
If I could just
Yeah,
maybe...
me as well.
I just wanted to thank Jason and his team at UHY. It is, after several years with an existing auditor, it was a great transition, and they made it very easy to work with them, and we're very, very appreciative of the collaboration that we were able to undertake. And I think, to his point, I think that'll just continue to improve as we get further along in that relationship.
Thank you. I want to say a few words. Could you repeat the highlight of the show? What was the main comment that you made at the beginning? It is what kind of ranking?
Clean audit opinion?
Exactly. Unmodified, right?
Unmodified.
Unmodified.
Is the technical
I know that doesn't always get the attention that we want it to, but that's a very significant piece of information for our community, considering that our operating budget, as we're going to present that tonight, is rapidly approaching $150 million as we have designated. The responsibility that this body has in terms of the stewards of the taxpayer dollars. And so what I'm very happy about is to hear that overall finding. That is the highest piece in terms of that. But it also says that this board is practicing their oversight in how we are spending the students' money in a judicious way with full accountability and transparency to our constituents, the taxpayers in Allegany County. So I'm very pleased to hear this, board members, as well as then as we build into the budget. I can't extract these 2 topics tonight because then the process continues as the board's going to have a deeper discussion about the operating budget. So I thank you for now working with us, looking for a long relationship, but I'm very proud of the report and the work that's done in finance. I know we have a couple other members here as well. And Larry, I thank you for your leadership overall. So appreciate it. Thank you. But I also want individuals to understand the significance of what this means as one of our main jobs as a body. As a superintendent presents the budget, the board adopts it, and the oversight of which we have, and the audit just verifies that we're doing things at the very best of which we can. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and I second that. The unmodified opinion really speaks to the reliability of the numbers in those financial statements. And as you mentioned, that rolls right into the budget and, the reliability there as well. So appreciate that.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep.
so at this time, as the superintendent had mentioned, we'll go ahead and get started with his budget, and it is his budget at this point in time until which time that the board takes action upon it. Hopefully tonight. Not going to put any pressure on you, but we're going to talk about a couple things this evening. So on the agenda tonight, we're going to take a look again at the board's priorities, some additional system considerations, some of the assumptions that we build into the budget is, as our auditors had mentioned, even in the financial statements, there are assumptions and estimates that we make. So this is no different. And then we'll go through a summary of the unrestricted budget then at that point as well. Okay, so these should all look familiar to you as the members of the board. These are the budget priorities that were set forth at our last meeting, or maybe the meeting before, I believe. So these priorities kind of become the framework from which the superintendent and staff build the budget. So certainly staffing and compensation plays a big role in that. Instruction, obviously, as well, and focusing on and investing in reading and math materials and the early childhood initiatives. Kind of staying current with our summer programs, credit recovery programs as well as providing high-quality instructional materials in the use of instruction. Certainly safe and supportive learning environments for our students. Again, continuing on with the blueprint for Maryland's future and the implementation of that with fidelity. Additionally, this year we call out operational efficiencies and operating the school system as effectively and efficiently as we can. So that may mean moving some things around, making decisions on as we look at instructional materials to find if they're being utilized, to what extent, are they moving the needle, those types of decisions. So whenever you're looking at the budget, so this is out of the Annotated Code of Maryland. This is your role and your responsibility as Dr. Martirano had mentioned, just this is probably one of the biggest responsibilities you have as a board. Kind of guiding us in terms of, setting the parameters for employee compensation, as well as, the collective bargaining agreements, identifying educational goals and objectives and the priorities from which we build the budget and we run the school system. So that's outlined within the Annotated Code itself. So a couple other things I think it's important to kind of put into perspective. Sometimes you'll hear, well, you just find the money somewhere. Well, what folks don't necessarily understand is, we're not in a situation where we can levy taxes or bond debt to raise revenues on our own. We're really at the mercy of the state, and as I shared last meeting, the state and local government for our funding, and they provide almost 95% of our funding. So it's important to kind of recognize that we just kind of can't find the money sometimes. And it's also important to realize that we also have to present a balanced budget. And to that extent, we're not the federal government. We can't be trillions of dollars in debt. So what you have before you this evening represents a balanced budget. So just a couple pieces of additional information that I think it's important to kind of to keep into perspective. And we've talked about this briefly last meeting whenever we were going through some of the revenue numbers. So we did have a slight decline in enrollment. We also talk about our compensatory education portion of our revenue that's driven by what used to be free and reduced meal eligibility. You'll recall that as a board, you all made the decision to, based upon the district's poverty level, we're able to provide free meals, free breakfast, and free lunches to all of our students. So that's something that as we continue into fiscal 27, we want to continue to be able to provide that, and what we're recommending. You also see there was a slight increase in multilingual learners, and those are students where English is a second language. And then we also talked last time briefly about the increase in the numbers in special education. So this year, a slight increase of 2.7%. So in terms of the superintendent's budget, we will be requesting $33,868,357, or flat funding from last year's request of county government. So you'll recall last year there was a lot of discussion in the legislative session about teacher pension pass back, how we would handle that. So actually, the way that actually happened, we had put it in the budget last year, and there's a corresponding budget amendment that was approved earlier tonight to move that. But the reason for that is that the state ended up billing the county directly. So we had originally thought that was going to be a pass-through relative to revenues and expenses. So it happened just a little bit different than we were anticipating. So we had to make that adjustment. You'll also see state revenues are showing a 2.4% increase. So 2.7, we actually had a $2.7 million boost in unrestricted revenues and a corresponding $2.3 million increase in restricted revenues from the state. So a little over about $5 million in new state money. Other revenues actually increased as well, 34.1%. The majority of the $355,000 increase was an increase in interest. And then lastly, the budget shows the district utilizing approximately $6.5 million from fund balance to help balance the budget. And that's driven primarily through healthcare cost increases, as well as the board also participating in capital projects from a safety and security standpoint, as well as some capital infrastructure projects as well. So. Okay, in terms of, we kind of broke the budget down between revenues, personnel, and non-personnel expenditures. So the budget includes a placeholder for estimated contractual obligations. We currently, all 4 of our bargaining units are being bargained. So there's kind of a placeholder that within the budget itself to cover what we believe those obligations may need to be. We've also investing in some additional leadership roles at the administrative as well as the mid-level administration levels. We're also, one of the things that we've heard as we've talked, gone out to schools and talked to staff and principals and teachers, is the need to add professional development opportunities, as well as a position to kind of champion as a supervisor and coordinate all of those different developmental activities and opportunities. Okay, in terms of non-personnel assumptions, transportation costs are increasing slightly. If there's one item I think that gives me kind of a pause to think, did we budget enough? It's probably this one. Just given the fact that the budget was kind of finalized before the turmoil in the Middle East, and I think as anyone has filled up their gas tank lately can attest, things got much more expensive very quickly. So we're hoping that that those prices ease, and we have an inflationary factor within the budget, but is that enough? So we'll look at that periodically to make sure we're trending where we need to be. We've also had a slight increase in non-public placements within special education. Similar to the price of gas, there's also been an ongoing increase in the price of utilities and electricity, which we've built into the budget as well, an additional $328,000. As I'd spoken earlier, healthcare claims have continued to escalate. So we're budgeting some additional funds for that. Capital outlay has also is increased, and as I mentioned earlier, we're investing in some safety and security vestibules, and as well as some capital infrastructure within the organization. Lastly, it always seems to come up, what are we doing with, is outdoor school at risk? Outdoor school's included in the budget, and as is the ESY and summer school programming for students this summer as well. So those programs are all included. So some additional non-personnel items. We have, the other thing we sometimes hear from principals is, well, what about my supply money from this year? Is it being cut? So we were able to leave our supply allocations intact. As I mentioned earlier, we're actually adding additional funding for staff development opportunities that's been requested, as well as, what we've tried to do is prepare a budget within the parameters and priorities that the board has outlined, and we think we've done that. So, just one of the things, we should have brought the puppy back because I'd have put her to sleep. One of the things to consider. So within this, these are objects. So we have to report. Our state reporting is by object as well as categories. So this is the object portion of the superintendent's budget. So what this shows is that the big blue piece is salaries and wages. And so between salaries and wages and fixed charges, as I mentioned earlier, over 80% of our budget is in personnel cost. Also included are contracted services, and those will be for things such as electrical work that we may be having to have done, a speaker that's doing some professional development. Supplies and materials are just that, supplies and materials. Other charges are where utilities are actually housed, as well as communications. Fixed charges, as I had mentioned, is a big piece, and that would be all the payroll taxes, that would be the health care cost, workers' comp, those kinds of things. And then equipment and building represent expenditures for items that have a useful life of more than a year. So as we talk about maybe security vestibules, those items would fall within those categories as well. So we talked about the objects. These are the different categories that we have to slice and dice the budget within. So administration would be the HR group, the superintendent's office, the finance office, HR, IT. Mid-level administration are going to be the principals at the buildings, the supervisors here at the Board of Ed office, at the main office is here. Instructional salaries are just that, salaries for teachers, instructional assistants, everyone at the school level. Instructional textbooks and supplies are the cost of the supplies at the schools. And then other instructional costs are just anything that isn't salaries or supplies. And then special ed are students who require some additional resources. Student personnel would be the PPWs that we have at each of the schools. Health services would be the health nurses that we have in our schools. We get additional funding for transportation. Operations would be the custodial staff, as well as the security staff, and another pocket of IT personnel. And maintenance are the maintenance group that takes care of the larger systems within the school versus the custodial staff. Talked a little bit already about fixed charges. Food services, this represents the portion of the budget that goes to supplement food services. And then lastly, again, is capital outlay. So you can see, excuse me, that we've had an overall increase of 5.1% in this year's unrestricted budget. And again, this is just graphically showing the superintendent's budget and how it's broken down by category. And this is a summary then of the unrestricted revenues. And we had talked about that previously. As I mentioned earlier, if you look at the county appropriation, you'll see last year it was a little over $34.5 million. Again, that included, you can see there's a footnote, the county appropriation had included $754,195 that related to the teacher pension passback, and this obligation was paid directly by the county in fiscal '26 and does not show on the Board of Ed's books. So, okay. Then lastly, you'll recall, as I started my revenue presentation last month, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. The legislative session is still going on, and then the other thing that could make a difference in terms of budgetary and staffing implications is kind of where we shake out relative to Title I. And you know, any shifts in the Title I schools, you know, there could be some staffing implications there as well. So, does anyone have any questions?
Mr. McKenzie, I just want to say thank you to you and your staff for all the work on this. It's easy for us as board members. We get to say, we want to see this, this, and this. But then you have to go back to your desk and put it all together. We appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I do want to mention again, I appreciate you mentioning my staff. I work with a great group of folks, and just want to acknowledge their contributions as well.
Excellent.
So, thank you.
I don't think anyone hold on. No questions, but Dr. Martirano would like.
You know I've got to say something about this budget. So board members, very much want to echo, I want to thank Mr. McKenzie and the leadership of our school system who've had input into this, and the individuals who are in the finance department as well. A lot of work goes into this. It may be simplified this evening in a presentation that is reduced to a PowerPoint, but there's an incredible amount of work. And in essence, as superintendent, it is my roadmap to then achieve the board's goals, clearly delineated. It is a very transparent process. The dollars are clearly exposed for our public to see. And when I talked earlier during the audit, I have a hard time extracting those two processes because it's ongoing. We develop the budget. There'll be accountability at different times with this. We are rapidly approaching operating budget $150 million. When you think about that, that's a significant amount of money that we are stewards of our taxpayers, and I always keep that front and center in everything that we do. We think about our 8,000 students who depend upon this, and although it technically the process is defined by code, it says the superintendent's budget. I always view this as the children's budget. Mm-hmm. This is our students' budget, and we have to keep that in our focus as we're discussing our 8,000 students who depend upon us for a high-quality education. And our philosophy has been that everything in this budget supports the classroom, supports our operations for our students so that they're safe, academically provided the supports necessary. When I think about this, the board priorities, I'm very pleased, although I can't talk about negotiations, but it's embedded in our budget for compensation increases for our 1,000+ employees, full-time, part-time, who come to work every day to support our children. That is a board's goal. That has been achieved in the new revenues of which we are receiving from the state. I also want to address the challenges that we navigate the road as everybody else does in the country around health care, maintaining that. There's a large portion associated with health care, and not only when we're talking about the individuals as employees, we're well over 2,000 individuals who rely on us in Allegany County to provide health care for their families, dependents, et cetera. And this is something that none of us take lightly in regards to the responsibility of providing compensation and benefits and health care to meet the needs of the employees and dependents. I also want to illuminate further the priority of safety and security within our schools. I will be compiling, all the various things of which we've done this year that we're going to continue to enhance. And Mr. McKenzie just briefly mentioned the conversations that we have with board members one-on-one about my goal of achieving the security vestibules. We have 22 schools, and right now 14 of our schools still need additional support around the security vestibules, and we're making that a priority of the use of one-time money. So safety of our young people and our staff, extremely important. Another data point that I want to illuminate further and elevate is consistently, board members, I've heard across the board from my advisories with our teachers, in our school improvement planning meetings, in our leadership meetings at combined council, the constant need for more professional learning. If we have high expectations for our teachers and our individuals within our schools, our instructional assistants, et cetera, we have a responsibility to provide the training and the professional learning that supports that process. The same way that we instruct our students, right? We need to also continue our ongoing support and instruction to our teachers and staff, and that's a resounding request. And so we will be revamping and looking at the programs that aren't working and the programs that then we want to implement to get better results for our young people through the professional learning model. All of that ties into the instructional program, and I'm very much going through a judicious process with our chief academic officer and all of the leadership who is in the back of the room right now, listening intently to what I'm saying. We're evaluating all of our instructional delivery programs to say, are they giving us the results of which we want? I want to achieve that highest graduation goal possible. I want to achieve the learning goals for grade 3, but we have to have the supports, the correct teachers, the outstanding teachers in front of our young people every day, but making certain that we're using the right programs. And that doesn't mean that we just continue them for the sake of continuing. If they're not working, then we need to stop those in the continuous improvement model and implement programs that are. And that process is going on in a very, very direct way. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the expectations of Blueprint and how that dictates all the local work of which we're doing, and all of that is embedded. And again, operational efficiencies, I've already talked about that. How can we get better results with the monies of which we have been allocated? And again, board members, this, although it says superintendent's budget, I view it as our students' budget, a roadmap to improve teaching and learning for all of our young people. And I am very optimistic about what is contained in this budget, the first one that I'm introducing during my tenure as superintendent to the board. It reflects our values and our priorities, and it focuses our high commitment to improve results for teaching and learning for all of our young people. So I wanted to summarize my feeling and my thoughts about this budget, and Mr. McKenzie, once again, to echo the support you've provided along the way, and then all the leadership who's in here. It's a very shared leadership model that we're implementing, taking input from a variety of sources, and I can support a number of these items with qualitative data and quantitative data in terms of our decision making. So thank you, and thank you, board, for the continued engagement in this process.
Thank you, Dr. Monterano. Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Okay, next we'll move into our instructional update. We have a math update from Dr. Thompson and Mr. Llewellyn.
Good evening, Dr. Marano and Madam President, members of the board. It's a pleasure to speak to you tonight and give you updates on what's happening in the world of math. But I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity as the heart of a principal to recognize one of my former students, Miss Israel. One of my great pleasures in life is to watch and see potential in kids, but then help kids realize that potential, but then see kids reach their potential, and I'm watching you do that. And so I met you about 10 years ago, and you were a shining star the day I met you, and you continue to be, and I understand you're going to Paris. Yes? Well, congratulations. I am so proud of you, so congratulations for that. So my goal for you for this evening is to share with you where we are with math in Allegany County and the progress we're making and the work that we're doing. So I'm going to give you some background about what has directed our work, and then Dr. Thompson is going to share with you the work that we're doing this year and what we're doing into the future. And so last year about this time, Maryland adopted a brand new mathematical policy for the state of Maryland. And that policy aligned with the standards of the blueprint. And there were several components to this plan. The first is revised standards for students K to 8, and that'll happen as soon as the beginning of next school year. Those standards include efforts to increase the mathematical instruction we're giving to students to prepare them for high school. That'll happen next year. We'll also be thoroughly revamping the high school scheduling so that students meet the standards of the college and career readiness standards by the end of 10th grade. And we'll also have opportunities for students to reach their different pathways to reach their future goals. In addition to that, the mathematical policy had us look at the barriers that would stop a student from reaching their potential in math, and it also gave us and required us to make some commitments for some professional learning that the superintendent was just talking about before, so that we could make the changes necessary to get students to the place where they were able to meet these standards. So you have the ability to move on to slide 3. Thank you. And so this graph kind of gives you a picture presentation of the efforts and the directive for us to move forward. And so the vision of this policy was to start students in pre-K and get them ready for high school starting in pre-K. And we do that in a number of ways. We do that through number and operations. We do that with algebraic thinking. We do that with geometry work and also data and statistics. So if you visit one of our pre-K classrooms or kindergarten classrooms, they're preparing for high school using those standards. And that's the goal. The goal of this policy was to get students ready to take advanced placement courses in high school, but also be college and career ready. And so we were given that plan that was adopted last March, and from that, our district created our own plan. And so this plan was created by ACPS teachers or specialists and staff. And in that plan, we've devised a way to move forward with this, with things talking about things to support students with MTSS, meaning multiple tiered systems of support for students. So we're looking into things like interventions, acceleration, how do we meet the needs of all of our students, but also how do we professionally develop our staff to get them prepared to meet the rigor of the new standards. But we also make sure that we have equitable instruction. And so one of the great challenges that I'll have in elementary school is to talk about how to accelerate students starting in grade 3 to get them ready, which is a new conversation for elementary school. But then also finally build out a plan for family and community partnerships so that we can prepare students to meet the needs of our community. And so without further ado, I'm going to ask Dr. Thompson to come up and share where we are now and where we're headed.
Thank you, Mr. Llewellyn. The full implementation of this plan is built out over 4 years, with the current year being year 1. and 28, 29 being the year where everything should be in place and up and running. So just to highlight a couple things that are occurring this year and then to point out a couple things that will be with us over the next couple years. Right now, we're very much working with the communication aspect and how to message this to the public. We have a policy liaison committee. Every district does. We meet once a month. MSD leads those, and that's going over different components of not only the MSD policy, but also how those relate to our individual district plan. And before the beginning of the next school year, we're tasked with giving 2 public presentations on both what is in the math policy and in our local plan as well. Ms. Llewellyn mentioned with the standards, the state requires a review of standards periodically, roughly every 10 to 12 years. The last time that the Maryland standards for mathematics were reviewed was roughly 2010 with the advent of the Common Core State Standards, which became fully implemented in 2013. The revised standards are not an overhaul. They are a revision. Most of what is in the revised standards can be found in the existing Maryland College and Career Readiness standards, roughly about an 80% overlap, with some standards moving between grades, some standards being removed entirely, and some standards being added in. And as he mentioned, that is into effect this coming school year. With that comes revised and new MCAP assessments that will align with the revised standards. Next slide, please. The big impact that will start showing up in 27, 28 will occur more so at the high school level. In fact, the largest change that will be visible to the average citizen will be what occurs in high school. We are all familiar with the legacy courses of Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. They have been around for decades. We all recognize those names, and most all of us took all 3 of those, certainly at least 2 of those. Our current 8th graders will be the last cohort of students, and this is true statewide, that will take algebra, geometry, and potentially algebra 2 as they currently exist. After this year, 27-20 or the 26-27 school year, algebra 1 goes away for good for all public school students in the state. In 27-8, the first course in the integrated course sequence will come into play. What Maryland has done is they have taken those 3 legacy courses and they have pulled out the most essential content that a student needs to move forward, to be prepared for a calculus track, to be prepared for a statistics track, to be prepared for a quantitative reasoning or a data science track. All of those were pathways that were on that graphic that you have in an earlier slide. So our current 5th graders will be the first cohort that is entirely in the integrated pathway. Our existing 6th graders and 7th graders, there's going to be a little mismatch. Some of them, particularly the accelerated students, will be in the current algebra, geometry, algebra 2 pathway. The others will start into the integrated pathway. And by the 28-29 school year, all of the legacy courses will have been extinguished or on their last lap. Algebra 2 will be the last to go. Algebra 1 will disappear in 27-8, geometry in 28-9, and then algebra 2 is gone after that. Everything will be integrated algebra 1, integrated algebra 2, and that will be required for all students. Now, MSD has it set up that all students will complete those at the latest by the end of grade 10 so that they can be measured for college and career readiness. At the end of grade 10, there are pathways, and there were 4 pathways that were on your graphic. I just mentioned earlier a calculus pathway, a statistics, a data science, and a quantitative reasoning. Those 2 integrated courses will prepare a student to participate in any of those 4 pathways if they're choosing based upon what their college interest, career interest, just their interest in general, where they see themselves once they leave high school. And the courses for those are being developed kind of as we speak. I was just thinking a few moments ago before it came up, if you pull out the ACPS program of study for the current school year, and then 5 years from now pull out the same, there's going to be very little that matches. Very little. Most of what currently exists now that will remain will be our dual enrollment courses and our advanced placement courses. Everything else is being revised, replaced, added on to align with the pathways that are coming into play. So it's a long, drawn-out 4-year process. Incrementally, we're adding pieces in what's coming into play for this upcoming school year, the revised standards for K through 8, the last year for Algebra 1 as a course, and the implementation of the revised MCAPs that will first start with the K through 8 standards. As far as the high school MCAP, I know Algebra 1 MCAP is always a topic of discussion. The plan as it sits is the MCAP for the high school courses will be at Integrated Algebra Course 2. That will be the class that assesses those students for meeting or not meeting their CCR requirement for mathematics. Short summary, there's a lot to go with this, but I respect your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Any questions for you either?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, Ms. Lovely.
I'm not seeing geometry or trigonometry on here, so is that?
Geometry is part of the legacy courses. That was embedded within the Integrated Algebra 2 and Integrated Algebra 1 courses. So students will still receive geometry content, but it will be a component within each of those 2 courses, as will be content from Algebra 1 and content from Algebra 2. Now, with respect to trig, we don't have a course explicitly listed as trig. It's listed as pre-calculus, but glad that you brought that up. One change that we have going in for next year is the designation for our pre-calculus course. Maryland adopted the College Board's standards for AP pre-calculus. All LEAs are required, if they are offering a pre-calculus course, it must be AP pre-calculus. We had not been offering that. We will start be offering that in the fall, and that will be replacing our honors trig pre-calculus.
Any other questions?
I do have a quick comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one very quick question. First, good to see you. I had Mr. Thompson for Algebra 2 at Fort Hill.
Glad that was a positive memory.
It was. It prepared me for AP Calculus. Didn't go into math, but it was a lot of fun. I just have one follow-up question. I'm really excited to hear about the new pathways that are going to be presented. Just for my reference, does the state engage with local LEAs? Are there representatives from our local school system who will be helping to shape what the quantitative reasoning and other courses look like, or just a high level what that looks
I've been on the committee that's called Launch Year's Task Force. Our primary purpose to start with was building the integrated algebra courses out. So I have had my say in with that. But to be fair, it has a lot of representation from higher ed.
Yep.
As my opinion, they're getting kind of a little more sway.
Yep, totally. Thank you very much for that context.
So, with all the experience you've had teaching math and being here in the school system, and having taken a lot of math in my time, never really liked it, but I took it. Anyway, what do you think of this pathway changing thing? Is that overall, at the risk of being fired?
No.
Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What's the end goal? It seems to right off the top of my head, it seems like we're stirring stuff up that may not need stirred up.
Well, my take is, first off, every student will now be exposed through Algebra 2 content. Previously, that's an elective. Students were only required through Algebra 1 and geometry. So because of the 3 courses being merged into 2 and both courses required, there will be some Algebra 2 content that all students will get. With that, and to accommodate taking 3 courses and merging them into 2, there was some content that had to go. And I am happy to see that some of the content that was really questionable on why it still is being taught is being pushed to the side. On the other hand, some things that a lot of us in the math community wish that there was more of, that students got more exposure to, was data analysis, statistics, data science, and that has been inserted, some of that, into the integrated courses. So I would like to say that these courses are an evolution. They are more current to what the needs are of students who are graduating high school in the 2020s and beyond.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
One fun fact, since Max is bringing up memories. I had Dr. Thompson every year of math but one from 7th to 12th grade. He followed me from all my schools when we consolidated, so.
I remember it well. That was the good old days.
Shippy, my last name was Shipley, and my nickname was Skippy. Skippy or Shippy?
I wasn't going to bring that up.
This is your life. Would you like anybody else like to stand up and have a proclamation about who they taught? I know it's like every time I turn around, Mr. Green is there's another teacher, our chief academic officer, is influential. Yeah, for you. Anyone else?
Not too embarrassed, but since Max
That's a great thing. That's wonderful. Dr. Bond and I were having just a little bit of a sidebar before he asked a question, and I think what is most important is how you respond to that question, but also the recognition of what our current program of studies looks like right now and what that's going to look like in 5 years. What that says to all the leadership in the school system is how do we communicate that to parents who were raised and educated with a certain pathway, and it's a deviation from that. I taught math through geometry, and there was a traditional pathways, in regards to then what led into high school. This is different.
It is.
And it's going to be a major difference. So what I'm saying is what is our communication model going to be for our parents and our students coming up through that pathway, which is critically important, that answers that why. I can almost see the development of a flow chart into those various pathways and what leads into that. Just want to put that out to all the leadership who is here as we're thinking about rolling this out to our parents. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you both. We appreciate your time. As we move into our public comment portion of the evening, we ask that those speaking would please limit comments to 5 minutes. And topics that are excluded from tonight are individual personal issues, comments identifying individual students or staff members, matters that are on appeal or may be appealed, topics for which the board schedules formal public hearings, and advertising or solicitation of products and services. And signed up to speak first, it says Susan and Stuart Sommers. So I'm not sure both or just one.
I'm probably going to do speaking.
Okay.
I have some material to give you all. Is that possible?
Yes.
To give that to you before I say anything? I also have one of my coworkers here, Justin Jones. Hello all. My name is Susan Summers. I'm an instructional assistant for the Allegheny County Board of Education. This is my husband Stuart. This is our service dog that we're currently training, RJ and Weber. We have volunteered to be puppy raisers for Canine Companions for over 20 years. RJ is our 21st puppy. Weber is our 22nd puppy. They're both future service dogs. All of my service dogs, 22 of them, have been raised in the Allegheny County public school system. I've taken them to school with me each and every day. The reason that we have our puppy here tonight is because my big boy, RJ, will be leaving in May, and so Weber is starting out to fill his shoes. Obviously, I'm here tonight to talk about the new service dog, whatever it is that we're writing up about that. I want to share that the last dog that we raised, Billy, just graduated. He graduated with a teacher who is mobility impaired, and all of our dogs, most of our dogs, seem to get placed in an educational situation, either with a teacher or a therapist or something along those lines, because of the exposure that they get in our school system. Also, I wanted to add that we have countless experiences that we could share with all of you, but I want to speak a little bit about some of the information that I handed you. We're here to speak to the draft of the animals on ACPS property. In Maryland, they call it SDIT, that's Service Dogs in Training, are granted access to all public places, the same as dogs who are formally trained. If you refer to the packet, Service Dogs in Training, State Laws, pages 4 and 5, it states that a service dog in training is covered and has the same rights as a service dog. Also, if you look at the Consolidated Assistance Animal Guide Dog Laws, on pages 2 and 3, COMAR states that the rights of a service dog in training and their handlers, whether paid or volunteer, are granted the same rights as a trained service dog. Just want to put this out there. Stuart and I are volunteers. We absorb every cost. We buy the food, we pay the vet bills, everything, we absorb it in our budget so that those dogs are placed for free with people who need them. I'm also providing you information in the packets about canine companions, which is who owns the dogs, the future service dogs. We do not own them. We pick them up usually at either Dulles, Reagan, or BWI when they're 7 weeks old. We keep them for 15 to 18 months, then we return them to canine companions. We teach 40 commands. They take our 40 commands, they turn them into tasks. They are with those people that own them for only 6 months. We have them for 15 to 18 months. So it's a thin line between saying a service dog in training and a service dog. I want to also add that I have included in there the agreement that we sign as puppy raisers so that you all know what we absorb. These dogs provide endless, non-judgmental love all day in school. There are students who will not enter the school building unless they can walk in with the dog. There are students who come to school with varying issues and do not want to stay in the classroom. Enter the dog, and they are content to stay. They are happy and smiling and eager to share their completed work with the dog, in this case, RJ and Weber. Some students come to school with great sadness from their homes. Interacting with our service dogs in training helps them to regulate their emotions. It also helps students reduce stress and anxiety. We, as a school, choose a puppy helper every day, and it has become a fun way for the students to practice learning responsibility. When a student has completely lost control of their emotions, they are not hearing the words that we as adults are trying to speak to them to comfort them. So what happens? They call on the service dog in training. They enter into the situation. The student calms down and then begins to hear what we are trying to say. The dog is non-judgmental, doesn't care what they're saying, doesn't care what they're doing, goes in, cuddles, and that's the end. Then the kids are ready to listen to us. The de-escalation is complete. Perhaps if RJ or Weber could come to sit with one of you, you could hear my words. I invite all of you to come and follow myself, RJ, and Weber on a typical day in elementary school. I believe that you would very quickly understand the importance of a service dog in training within the school environment. And my last words to all of you are, service dogs aren't born, they are raised. We raise them. So I am open to any questions. We both are. I have a coworker here, Justin, who can also speak to the importance of the dogs in the school. I know that in reading your draft, you don't want service dogs in training in the schools. I'm not sure why. I've raised 22 of them, but I'm open to discussion, or you can come to my school, call me, whatever you'd like to do. I will answer your questions. I also have lots of coworkers who wanted to come tonight, including my principal and vice principal, but I assured them that tonight was just for me to talk and explain what service dogs do. Service dogs in training. Any questions?
Are there any board member comments?
I have a question. Why are you changing the policy? the last policy that was drafted, they called me and spoke to me about it and asked me to help write that policy so that the service dogs in training would be permitted in the schools.
Well, first of all, it's good to see you. I've interacted with
Yeah.
you, and I know you, and I know what you do at the school, and we thank you for that. I think this is a first reader, right? So when we go through the process and we're reviewing all of our policies in the school system, there's a number of different variables that we want to balance. Hearing from you tonight, helps us guide that policy to the very best that we can. There are other factors that we have to balance out in terms of liability, a number of factors. And again, what I want to emphasize, first reader, taking this under advisement, decision hasn't been formally made, and we have a review cycle which we do look at our current policies. And I'll leave it at that. We'll continue to take, input as we go through that process.
I would very much like to be included on that and give you input, and as well, my coworkers, my principal, my vice principal, my past principals and vice principals would love to speak to you all on how the dogs work with the children and what they're able to accomplish.
I think you recognize I have a visit coming up soon to Bell Elementary,
Yes.
and we can talk further there. It'll help me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Sommer. Okay, first under new business is regarding the superintendent's operating budget. Is there a motion on the floor regarding the budget this evening?
Motion to approve our operating budget as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Dr. Bond, second by Mrs. Woodmeyer. Are there any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. And then now we'll get into our policies. I'll turn it over to Mr. Llewellyn.
We have 3 new policies for your consideration tonight. These are policies that have been recommended in response to identified policy gaps in the school system. So the first one is the guest speakers policy, file IJOB. And I think what you'll find is this puts into policy what's in practice already with regards to having guest speakers in Allegheny County Public Schools. And Policy Committee recommends this for first reading.
Okay, is there a motion regarding file IJOB?
Motion to approve file IJOB.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lepley. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Next is animals on ACPS property, which was just brought up. This is the policy. Obviously, there's a regulation that would accompany it, which you would consider next for review next meeting if this passes. So this is a new policy. It's to provide guidance and rules related to animals in our schools and on all of our properties. And we recommend passage. We can certainly also bring it back to Policy Committee for further review as well.
I'll make a motion to bring the policy back to Policy Committee. Yep.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Green, second by Dr. Bond. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Well, I'd just like to say I'd like to get the input from your visit to the school and also whatever input that you would gather for us to review. I'm sure you'll get that for us, and then we'll discuss
Yes,
it
sir.
before we send it back, or before we vote on it. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Okay, any other questions, comments? Motion by Mr. Green, second by Dr. Bond. All in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. That one will be tabled and sent back to Policy Committee.
So this last one, we're going to ask for, this is student search and seizure, arrest, and questioning on school property. We have a current policy, JIH. That current policy, however, is incomplete. For example, it doesn't say one lick about arrests on school property. It just doesn't have anything. It's in the title, but it doesn't mention anything in the policy or the procedure. So the Policies Committee has prepared a brand new policy for this, and we are recommending that you adopt this new policy, and then in tandem with that, in a separate motion, vote to repeal the current policy all effective July 1st. So we want both policies to enact, one to go away, the new one to become policy together. So I think that covers both of them. We recommend passage of this one.
Okay, is there a motion regarding policy file JIH?
Motion to approve file JIH, student search and seizure, arrest and questioning on school property.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Second that.
Second by Mrs. Widmeyer. Any questions? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Turn it back over. Okay, and now a motion, please, to repeal policy file JIH.
Motion to repeal policy file JIH effective May 2020, or sorry, July 2026.
Second. Second. Any questions? This is to repeal the original file JIH. I apologize. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
So
You said 3, and I wondered if you saw that one was on.
yeah, no, I just miscounted. So then you have policy J, is it J? JIHC, thanks. JIHC, this is for the use of metal detectors in our schools. And this is, again, a policy gap. We have them, but we need some rules and regulations on exactly how they're used so the use can be uniform. And so we've prepared this policy and we recommend it for first reading.
Motion to approve policy JIHC, use of handheld metal detectors.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Green, second by Dr. Bond. Any questions regarding the policy? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you all. And it is nice to have Ms. Israel with us this evening. We'll turn it over for your student board member update.
Okay. I'm really sad that Mr. Llewellyn had left because I wanted to say that he genuinely was far more than a principal to me when I was in 5th grade. And I'm going to cry again, and I hope that's okay. He was so good to me. In fifth grade, my mom, she passed away, and he went to the funeral. And weeks after that, he took such good care of me. He did not bother with me, like mentally, he held my hand through assignments. He still allowed me to get a little certificate for my attendance despite missing so many days because of grief. And I wanted to say that because he was more than a principal to me, and I'm so glad that he publicly recognized me, and I was so sad that he left because I wanted to do the same to him. And then I left, that was in 5th grade, and then I went into middle school, and after the passing of my mother, I had met my biological father, and there was court trouble with that. And Dr. Stewart, my middle school principal, she went to court with me and helped me through that. So they never sat there and said because this was outside of above their pay grade, they helped me. And it maybe because I'm graduating soon and the senioritis is starting to get to me, because I thought that was a myth. But it's so touching I'm so humbled by that, to have him talk that I'm a shining star. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for you, Dr. Stewart, or for anybody else who had just supported me, even with or without educational purposes, because it's we're a family, And I just wanted to take a moment to say that because I was very touched by that. Anyway, my student board member report. Anyway, February 28th, we had about 70 high school students attend the 2026 Make a Difference Youth Summit at Allegany College of Maryland. Students were welcomed by Dr. Martirano and also by Vice President David Jones. Students, they were able to highlight and showcase how they helped the community and share with their peers. About 20 community partners attended, talking to the students about how they could volunteer, how they could get involved in their community. Students toured ACM and they learned about scholarship opportunities. This was all during Youth Summit. They had a very productive day. They learned about social media do's and don'ts, and they also learned about resume writings. It was very productive. And I think it was President David Jones, not Vice President David Jones. So let me excuse me on that. So today, next week, will mark March 17th through the 20th. We will have our annual Ocean City Convention, and it will take place. We will have Allegany and Braddock student council members be part of the host committee for Maryland Association of Student Council. That's very big. All the student councils of Maryland come together to Ocean City as we all vote for our 2026 to 2027 student council for the state, and we will be in charge of making sure everything runs smoothly for the next 4 days. So that's a very big deal, and we're very excited, very busy as well. And upcoming, we'll have on Wednesday, April 15th, ACPS will hold its last General Assembly at the Career Center again. We have a goal to make sure we have fun and have reflective workshops for the students because it's our last General Assembly. We are expecting the state SMOB to be there as well. He was had a goal to travel as many counties as he could around the state before the end of his term, and he found time during April 15th of our last General Assembly to be there. So we are excited to welcome him as well. That's all I had.
Thank you, Ms. Israel. Are there any board member updates this evening?
Yes, a few. I'll be short. I won't be nearly as beautiful or poignant as you, Miss Israel. We really appreciate you sharing that story. I do want to update on some exciting things that we've been engaged in over the last month. So some of you may be aware about Read Across America. The Maryland State Education Association celebrates Read Across America month throughout the month of March. The Allegany County Education Association, ACEA, organized a wonderful event that myself, Ms. Lepley, Dr. Martirano, and others were able to attend at Bell Elementary on March 4th. We were able to celebrate the joy of reading with some second graders there, and ACEA donated a number of books in honor of Mrs. Seville, who's actually here for her board certification recognition tonight. So that was a wonderful trip out in the community. I also want to report that the local advisory council for career and technical education will meet again on March 24th at CCTE. At that time, we're going to be meeting to discuss our comprehensive local needs assessment, CLNA, and I look forward to having some updates from that meeting. Finally, myself and a number of other board members have gotten to go on a number of school visits recently. I personally had the opportunity to visit Washington Middle and Cache Valley and see firsthand some of the school improvement plan work that's been going on, the work that administrators and district leadership and our school staff undertake. During those meetings, I just want to say I've been continuously impressed by the incredible work of not just Superintendent Martirano, but all of our staff and administration. I want to say thank you for and being so involved in ensuring our programs meet the needs of our students, and we're continuously adapting to take advantage of opportunities presented to enhance instruction and staff development. Really nice to be able to visit schools and see that work firsthand. So thank you, Dr. Martirano, and thank you to your staff.
Okay, any other board members? Yes, Ms. Lepley.
So I had the pleasure of attending Skills USA, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and it was a shortened version, so I got to see the nursing students, carpentry, and the HVAC students, and they're doing some really incredible things. The nursing students, I didn't get to watch it. It's kind of a performance, and they have actors, and they have to act out how they're going to help out in a situation, and that's what they get graded on. The carpentry students were building a miniature house, so all the risers, trusses, everything they did on their own. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see the finished product, but it looked like it was going to be really good. And the HVAC students, they were given a design, and they had to do sheet metal working to make different kinds of ducts. So those are some examples of what some of our career students or career center students are doing. And Chris, maybe you can help me with the author. I left my notes at home. Aaron Reynolds, that's it. I knew it was Aaron. But the community schools hosted an author, Aaron Reynolds, and he was incredible. I got to see him with 4th grade students, and he got everybody interested in reading. His books are Creepy Underwear, Creepy Crayons, Creepy Carrots, and he's working on some chapter books too. But he had a Jack Black attitude, and he really kept everybody entertained. It was nice.
Any others? Mrs. Widmeyer?
I just wanted to share that I attended 2 of the community meetings for the Enough Act, which is sponsored by the City of Cumberland, the LMB, Social Services, HRDC. It's a program that Wes Moore has as an initiative, our governor, and it addresses ending childhood poverty. So they're just starting out. They've done 2 of their tracks, which was to establish partnerships, plan developments, community-driven community meetings, some data collection. They're looking at youth barriers for their educations. They're addressing hopelessness and substance abuse, and they've targeted 2 of our schools, the John Humbard School District and South Penn. There is state funding for this. They're looking at after-school programs, support for families, enhanced culture events for our children, housing assistance, and some adult ed programs. They've done a survey asking the families the biggest challenge, the after-school programs, mentorship, barriers to employment for the parents. It was very, very interesting to hear the input from community members, and they're hoping to expand that to include more families and more students. And I also attend the education committee at the Chamber of Commerce, and I just wanted to remind everybody that this Thursday morning is the graduation for our Leadership Allegany Rising students, and that is a 7-month program for high school incoming juniors, and it's to educate future leaders, identify community issues and leadership structures for local government, healthcare, social services, business, economic development, and higher education. So each one of those areas has a day that they spend with them. This is for incoming juniors. So if there are any students that you know of that might be interested, might qualify, they can contact their in-school guidance counselors. The program starts in September and runs through May. That's all I have.
We also want to say a quick congratulations to our Teachers of the Year, who we recognized and surprised yesterday. Miss Elaine Davis from Mount Savage Middle School, myself, Miss Widmeyer, Miss Lepley, Dr. Monterano, and most of you in the room were able to go and surprise her in person yesterday. And it was a really sweet gesture. And we got to see her in her classroom with all of her students. And we'll be having, I believe, something at the April meeting recognizing all of our nominees and our winner this year. So thank you for that. And with that, a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep, so moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you all. Have a good evening.